welcome to check in. If I got it right, check in number 10. And then for this check in, we have a pretty powerful question. We were asking some people for some questions and needs that are out there in the marriage ministry or with just being married. And the great question we came up with was, or we heard was,
We thought, how do we have realistic expectations of each other,
how do we have realistic expectations of
of each other?
each other? And I see why that is a powerful. I agree with you that we should talk about that one because one of the biggest hindrances that I've seen in is I like to call it being in your head.
Okay.
It's this idea of like, and this is no matter what background you are. This is spiritual, not spiritual. This doesn't matter. Is that we have all these expectations of what our spouse should be, our marriage should be. I always say it like this. This is not to be offensive to anybody.
Okay.
We marry a Chihuahua, but we want a German Shepherd, right?
Good point.
So we and then at some point in the marriage,
It's true.
it's going along, and you think you got a Chihuahua. Me, I'm a German Shepherd, German Shepherd, German Shepherd. Wait a minute now, like then you start
I got a
realizing
chihuahua.
I got a Chihuahua. Then you're like you just, but then now you're annoyed, you're frustrated.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm being silly, but I've seen it where it's we in terms of qualities of their character.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right. I think I heard that women tend to do that more than men. That men will marry what they have in front of them, but women, we like to marry what we call a fixer upper. And we think, oh, I'm going to pour this into him and I'm going to give this to him and I'm going to
A
help him with
fixer
this.
upper.
And he's going to
I like
be,
that. I was a fixer. Yeah.
bam, this, rather than being realistic about who we have and loving
The
who
one
we
we
have
have.
in front of us. Like they say, love the one you with.
Yeah. I love acronyms. So I call that a FUS, Fixer Upper Syndrome.
Ah,
I love acronyms. That's my Department of Ed and psychological training. But Fixer Upper Syndrome, I've seen it. I personally consider myself a fixer upper when we got married. But I think the thing that I really appreciated from you was you kind of knew it. You kind of knew good, bad, and ugly. You kind of knew what was. Man, he'll
well,
grow in this.
one of the things, I mean, I want to thank the girls who got with me when we were dating. One of the girls said to me, um, you got to love your husband, love the man where he's at. If he never changes,
Ooh,
will you be okay with that?
that's powerful. That's powerful. And
I mean,
yeah.
we love God, we're
Mhm.
Christians, and we will change, but sometimes we don't. Are you going to love him with everything in you where he's at right now? When I married you, where you were right there at that moment, I loved you with everything in me.
Absolutely.
You've gotten way better, but I loved you where you were at.
Yes.
And that's a big problem.
Yes. I look when I think about it because it's huge. It's like I would say about I don't know percentages, but I would say a good portion. I'll say this of marriage challenges are that we
Yeah.
have these expectations, and I think this is my first encouragement to people is just okay, what's the solution? What can I do about that? I'm telling you, the first thing you can do is to simply be aware and notice you have expectations that are not reality. Now, again, I'm not saying that if your husband is struggling with being unmotivated to advance his career. I'm not saying that that's oh good. You just don't even ask anything. But when I say be aware that there are expectations that we all baggage that we all bring into a marriage that keep us from really seeing your husband or your wife. Realize you've got them. And more than likely, one of the best ways you can know if you got them is to just check. Just to check. Whenever you feel annoyed,
Yeah.
whenever you feel like I could have, this is a dangerous feeling, but
I
this is a
coulda,
bad sign.
yep.
The I could have done better.
I coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Whenever you feel that anxiety where you got to fix them quick,
Yep.
those are all kind of like the odors of expectations that are not based on who you really married. But to question, I guess my biggest thing is that question yourself. Question yourself.
Now, I would say there's a difference between expectations and sin. Now, because in our marriage, there were just expect we needed to have expectations about things that was sin that needed to change. That's very different than the job they have, the motivation they have, and those kind of things. If it's a sin, for example, me being disrespectful with my words, that wasn't an unrealistic expectation. That was work on loving God and being obedient to the scriptures and change that. But as far as whether I wanted to work at this job or work at that job, whether I wanted to work at my job and never get a raise, whether I wanted to stay at a position that I'm at because I'm comfortable and I don't want to take on more challenges. Those are the kind of things we talk about realistic expectations. But if it's sin, as a Christian marriage, that's something different. I'm not talking about he's just going to always be smacking the kids around, or he's just going to always be.
Yep. Okay.
No, that's not, it hasn't changed. It's been 10 years and he still be losing his temper and breaking stuff. That's different.
Yes. Yeah, that's very different. Yeah.
Life goals, career goals. We live in this neighborhood and you want to live in a better neighborhood. We drive this car, you want to drive a better car. Those kind of things are different than sin in the relationship.
No, I agree. That's a big difference. And look, we could wrap it up right there. Like, there's a big difference between unrealistic expectations that are really about more lifestyle, character, choices, things that just you in your culture or your upbringing, you feel just gotta happen, or that you prefer, you desire. But elevate to this.
Yes.
And we a lot of time we end up marrying people that are not that, and then we beat them up for the next 10 years because they're not that.
Right.
Very different from, you said, sin, where it's you are missing the mark with some basic foundational morality.
Right. That's
you're
different.
Verbally, physically abusive.
Yeah.
That's not an unrealistic expectation. No. That's an issue of what matters, what's right, what's wrong, what's safe, what's not safe. And I think it is good to see the difference of that. I mean, we could go on and on, because I think one thing I see too is you got to know the difference.
Yeah.
Like you got to know the difference. Just knowing the difference. So what do you think as we close this out? My encouragement: unrealistic expectations really are in the realm of character style, preferences, tastes.
Yeah.
For example, you want your husband to be an extrovert, he's an introvert.
Right.
You want your husband to be this paragon of neatness, and he's a little on the sloppy side. You want your husband or wife to be this super, always, just agrees and very calm and
that ain't who you got.
And you married somebody who's kind of anxious and, may say something quick, so on and so on. Those are the things we got to soften it up a little bit and really look at, who did I marry? I've got to work on my unreasonable expectations. Is that a good summary?
Yes, that's a good summary.
Work on you.
Work on you.
Know the difference between those things and actual things that are like, man, now this is really dangerous or not good. And I think we'll close it there. We'll close it there.
Thank you for joining us for our check-in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Find more of our videos on our YouTube channel, Mind Change. Let us know what you think. Add comments, ask questions, give suggestions for future topics. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.